All right, greetings. We'll take a shot at this. You can see Shadow's decided he needs some attention right now. So, while providing him with said attention, are you good? You good? No, I have to pick you up. Okay. All right. Fine. So, today's entertainment guy video, I'm wearing my Daleks jersey. I've started wearing, or I've started watching Doctor Who again, but the classic-ish stuff. So it's new Who, but it's not the current Doctor, and it's going back to like the 11th and the 10th, and watching episodes from the Matt Smith, David Tennant era, and going, that's why I used to love this show so much. That's why I used to watch the show religiously, and I would make plans around my weekend based on when the show was on, and yeah, it doesn't really have that for me anymore. I have not finished the last season of Doctor Who. I don't know if I will, to be honest. I really don't know that I will. So I want to talk about just stuff around entertainment and a little bit of sports as well. Don't worry, Blue Jay fans, I'm not talking about how the Blue Jays have done the last few days. It's been an interesting few days for the Blue Jays. So Tatiana Maslany has been cast as She-Hulk for a Disney Plus series, and I like that. That's actually a really good casting decision. She's an excellent actress. It's a perfect pick when you look at her. Really going to start bathing yourself while I'm holding it, because I don't put up with that from your sister. But when you, because then it makes it look like I'm your servant. But when you look at her work in Orphan Black, like, she has just been amazing at playing multiple roles. And if you're going to play a Hulk character, you're kind of playing multiple roles right there. So I think she's a perfect casting choice for that role. So yeah, that's what's going on there. There you go. You all done? Okay, is that enough? Okay, I think that's enough for him for right now. Now, NFL Power Rankings, I've seen some comments, some questions about that, and they're coming, but just not yet. Last year I did Power Rankings early on and updated them every week because there was no hockey. So I enjoyed doing Power Rankings, and NFL was like, yeah, I can do NFL Power Rankings, sure. And I had set myself up to maybe be able to do baseball this summer too, because we didn't know if hockey was going to be played. So for me, I was like, well, I can talk baseball and football if there's no hockey. And then hockey started up August 1st, and now we're seeing the Stanley Cup Finals starting tonight. So the NFL Power Rankings are going to happen, but during the Stanley Cup and with the main channel that I have being hockey, the amount of attention that's needed to really make an NFL Power Rankings work, I don't have that time right now. So it's going to happen, but not yet. So do stay tuned, and don't worry. I'm sure the Bengals will find a way to lose every game until I get around to it. And the funny thing is, I keep seeing people saying, hey, this Burrow kid, though, he looks really good. Don't you worry about the Bengals. It's going to be good. The problem's not been quarterback. Dalton was a good quarterback, too. The problem's everything else around it. And this has been the problem that, and they mentioned, oh, Palmer, they ruined Palmer. No. Again, I'm not saying Palmer was a great quarterback, but it's just Cincinnati has a hard time building a team. So it's not about just getting that quarterback. It's about building a team around that. And we'll talk about that some other time. And at some point, I need to talk about the Clippers, because that needs to happen. But again, that's more into when hockey's gone. So hockey's going to disappear from, looks like, mid-September until December at the earliest. And then I can just dive into the other sports. So NFL Power Rankings are coming. It'll happen. In the interesting news, to me anyways, Crave TV, which is the service that I have, and of course you have TV on demand through TELUS, you would think Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist would still be somewhere to be found. It's not. And it was. And I had almost finished watching season 1, and then it's gone. So I'm waiting for it to come back, hopefully before season 2 comes. Now, I've already seen spoilers, so I know how things go at the end of the season. I've not shared that with my wife. But I hate when this happens with on-demand services where they're like, nah, we've just removed that. It's sort of like with Big Brother and some of the reality shows. They only have like the last week and a half of episodes available for some of these shows, and it's when it's a show that has frequent episodes and maybe you're behind by a few weeks. You're like, well, wait, maybe I wanted to watch one. Oh, yeah, that's fine. Just delete it. That's fine too. All right, go on ahead. And I know people are going to say, well, PVR it. Well, in the case of Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, we got into that after it had already been shown. And in the case of Big Brother and Love Island and others, I'd rather not PVR them. Just rather not. The only things that I PVR now, I PVR AEW Dynamite every week. And I think that's it. I think it's just AEW. There were other shows I was doing PVR. Doctor Who was one I was doing PVR every week. Even while I was watching it, and then I could rewatch it. But not under the current showrunner. No. Last season, this season, no. Just no. Because while I'm rewatching old episodes, the new ones, I can barely get through them once. There's no way I'd want to watch them again. So I want to talk a little bit about Love Island again, and I apologize to people who don't want to hear me talk about it. But, I watched last night's episode, and I thought, to me it looks like production is, and I know this is part of a reality program, but it looks like they're trying to create drama between Johnny and Sally, who have been the happiest couple in the villa, and maybe the producers look at them just, being all cuddly and lovey-dovey and say, well, this is kind of boring. So they're trying to put out there the idea that Johnny did a lot more with Mercedes than what we know. And this has led to my wife and I having a discussion about editing. They can edit it to make it look way worse between Johnny and Mercedes than what it was. And I don't have any reason to distrust Johnny at this point, but Sally clearly is concerned. The only thing I will say is this, is that in this reality show environment, when they went to this other Casa de Amor thing, Johnny had to know he was being filmed. You have to assume you're being filmed at all times when you're on these shows. And knowing he's being filmed, the day he's left his girlfriend, Sally, and now they're saying they're not boyfriend-girlfriend, which is weird. That's troubling too, that now they're like, well, we're not really boyfriend. Come on. So the day that he leaves this girl behind, he's like, yeah, I like her. She's the one I want. And then he's making out with somebody else like hours later. It is hard for me to feel bad for him. And yet at the same time, I do wonder about production and the way things are being edited. And whether or not it's being edited to make Johnny look worse than what he does. This is where and it'll confirm that production's messing things up just on purpose, just to try to break them up. If Mercedes suddenly walks into the villa, if Mercedes magically walks into the villa in a day or two, like, oh look, I'm here, and then the whole Sally Johnny thing blows up, then it's on purpose. But it feels like it's production trying to create drama, which is too bad, because what's wrong with a happy couple? And I like them together, and I think the thing for me is that Sally just feels she's the most genuine person on the show, in my eyes anyways. And again, editing, right? And I don't like seeing her get heartbroken and all this, especially when I think it's being manipulated. So hopefully when they get outside of the villa and they're in the real world, hopefully figure it all out. That being said, the couple I was cheering for last year was Kira and Cashel, and in the real world, it didn't work. So you just don't know whether it's going to work in the real world. Speaking of not working in the real world, I bring you Big Brother. So Nicole Frankel, who is the only Nicole remaining in the house, she's lost her Oil of Olay sponsorship. She doesn't know that yet. She's still in the house saying horrible things. So because they is her, Danny, Memphis, I think are the three that were mocking Ian's autism, and I talked about that before too. It's indefensible. And based on that and a couple conversations they had about mocking Ian's autism and just the way that they're treating other people, I don't like it. And then this week Ian gets sent home, so I'm done. I'm out on Big Brother. I don't care. As soon as I saw Ian was voted out and Memphis has had a household, all right, done. That's it. I don't care. I don't care who wins from here. I don't care. Enjoy your $500,000. These are people who, as all-stars, most of them will have some kind of sponsorship deal, something on the outside. And a good, like, for instance, even with myself, I just have the small YouTube channel, right? And if I was on a reality show like this where I was being filmed 24/7, I'd be really careful about things I said and did. And I know it's easy to drop your guard, but in the back of my mind, I'd be like, okay, so A, you know, my wife's at home and I got to make sure I'm not saying or doing something that's going to offend her or hurt her feelings. And B, I do have agreements. I do have subscribers. I do have people on the internet that would be counting on a certain kind of behavior from me. And I don't know if there's some other reason behind this, but it feels like Nicole and her cohorts have completely forgotten that there are repercussions for things you say in the house. And we've seen this before where people lose their sponsorships for things they say on reality shows or for their behavior, whether it's Survivor or Big Brother being two that come to mind just offhand. And I'm sure there's others as well. And so they don't seem to make smart decisions, not just as humans, but even as business people. So if you don't want to view yourself as a human, be a smart business person and don't mock somebody with autism on cameras and in front of everybody. And her acting, her fake crying, and then trying to play up her crying. And again, this is one of those things that Janelle retweeted out saying, hopefully the casuals see this, where Nicole was pretending the crying. So when she voted out Ian, she really played up the crying. You know, I'm so heartbroken to have to vote him out. But it was all fake. And it was all fake just to prove she's a good actress and she can act. It just makes her look like she's a complete and total dick. Complete and total, absolute dick. And what's weird is, Nicole, the first time she was in the house, I thought she was sweet. She was a really nice girl. I was really, you know, happy for her with how far she went. And this time, I can't stand that alliance. I just can't stand it. And, yeah, so that's why it just says Ugh Big Brother, because I'm sort of done with it. It's sort of finished to me. I'm through with it. It's kind of done. I also want to throw out there for people who may be Tool fans watching this, and I know there may be a few. There's an Purifier album out next month. I want to call out too that the one headline I saw about this was that it's Maynard's pet side project, his little side project. Purifiers got a pretty robust catalog of albums, and there's some really good songs here, and I don't know that I agree. The way that I put it is this: Tool is a group of men who come together and they make some of the greatest music in history. Perfect Circle is a band of guys where Maynard seems to have more, I'm going to say more control, but it does feel like it's Maynard's group. Purifier, that is sort of like it's Maynard's hangout. It is where Maynard's comfortable, where he can do things that he couldn't do with the other two bands. He can make a goofy song here and there. But I don't think it's any less important to him. I think that all three of these are important to Maynard James Keenan and to keeping him sane, probably especially during 2020. And a Purifier album is perfectly timed. We just got a Perfect Circle album not too long back, and we got a Tool album last year, and so now we get Purifier. Makes total complete sense to me. But I don't view it as a pet side project. I view it as just being another part of what makes Maynard possibly the most fascinating entertainer of his generation. And so I'm looking forward to that. That should be a pretty solid album. Purifier albums are pretty good. And some of their songs, like I said, they're something he couldn't do when he's in Tool or when he's in Perfect Circle. And they're something completely different. They're a lot of fun to listen to. Now, Legends of Tomorrow during my treadmill every day, and my treadmilling's getting pushed back today because of a live stream on the main channel. Live streams will be returning to this channel as well. I will say this week at some point I'll try to figure out to get a live stream together on this channel. Now that we're up to just the Stanley Cup Finals in hockey, I can probably do a live stream on this channel without much trouble. But I'm up to Season 3 and what I've watched. I cheated to get to Season 3. I skipped like 4 episodes of Season 2. It just gets really repetitive, where it's like, okay, the Legends are in this scenario, and the bad guys outsmart them. The Legends are in this scenario, bad guys outsmarted them. Hey, look, here they outsmarted again. And they do the stupidest things. They do absolutely the dumbest things. Like, you bring Rip back onto the ship, and clearly he's evil now. He's been brainwashed. And he's been gone for a while, so you would think Sarah and Jackson and the crew would say, hey, So Rip's bad now, right? Should we go through Gideon and make sure there aren't any kind of sub commands that he can use if he somehow breaks onto the ship? Because he might decide to use the time ship to his advantage. That's a really good idea, Sarah Lance. Let's go ahead and make sure that Rip can't just walk back on this ship and take it over. That's a really smart idea. Let's make sure that Gideon doesn't do that. And they don't. Never occurs to them, so of course he turns the ship against them, and I was like, I can't finish this episode. They're too stupid. And it reminds me of, and I've mentioned this before, my favorite scene in Lois and Clark's adventures. So way back, Terry Hatcher days where she's Lois and Dean Cain was Clark. And the time traveler from the future meets Lois Lane and tells her, it's great to meet the stupidest human in existence. The dumbest person that's ever existed. And she doesn't understand what he means. I'm glad I got these here for the prop, because it just means a lot more. And he goes, well, it means this: I'm Clark Kent, I'm Superman. I'm Clark Kent, I'm Superman. And it's one of these perfect moments where you're like, wow, a villain finally called out how stupid the heroes are in this moment. That's great. Legends was that for the first 2 seasons. Constantly, I'm Clark Kent, I'm Superman. And you're like, oh, why did Sarah make that decision? She's so much smarter than that now. So we're into season 3. And season 3 is where I really started to love the show. Because as soon as towards the end of season 2, where it's like, okay, Mick, where do you want to go? And he's like, well, I'd like, Aruba. And I'm like, Aruba. Yeah, he ends up in Aruba. God, that was so funny. And so that was the first moment where I was like, right, that's where things start to get really, really good. Is where he runs into Caesar in Aruba, and he gets into a fist fight with Julius Caesar because he's Mick, so of course he does. The only thing with seasons 1 and 2, and I'll do a more detailed video on it at some point soon, just Mick and his overall evolution from just a big dumb guy to being a heck of a lot more than that. It's nice to see. And Mick Rory is my favorite character at this point in Legends of Tomorrow. And season 3 is really where he starts to come into his own. Where he is legit just drinking beer and he doesn't really give a damn anymore. It's not his problem. And you can see during certain parts of towards the end of season 2, they've started to embrace that, where everybody's all panicking and Mick's just sort of like, whatever. All right, we're gonna die or what? Because I don't care. Whatever. Yeah, everybody calls me a moron. I'm over it. I'm sick of it. Whatever. So, it is a great show if you haven't watched Legends of Tomorrow. But this is why when people say, well, where should I start watching it? I say, season 4. And now watching it all the way through, I would probably default to season 3. I would probably say you can start with the first episode of season 3 since the show completely revamps itself in season 3. The character Rip is completely different in season 3 than he was in the first 2 seasons. It's a completely different person. I understand it's still Arthur Darvill, but it's a completely different character. Anyways, there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happen upon this video. And to the creators of Love Island, if you guys are intentionally breaking up Johnny and Sally, I can't get behind that. But I'm not going to abandon it like I have Big Brother. Big Brother, I'm done for this year. I can't. I can't. Memphis' head household, I can't. I'm done. I can't watch this crap anymore. I cannot watch another super mega alliance just run the house by being horrible, awful people. And I can't. It's just, it's toxic, and I feel bad for Ian. I feel bad for Davon. I feel bad for these people that they seem genuinely decent, and it's being run by the worst. Thank you guys so much for all your support, though, and helping this channel reach 14,400 and some subscribers. And here's to hoping for 14,400 and some more. So doubling sounds good. Thanks again. I'll talk to you soon.